Hi, my name is Josh Geiger, and I'm a senior horticulture student at Texas Tech University. Today I'd like to present information on the issue of soil loss and environmental degradation caused by water erosion. And I'd like to propose a research project that will elucidate remediation strategies for this issue. So let's start with some background. What is soil erosion? Soil erosion is the process of removal and deportation of soil particles by the effects of natural elements such as wind, water, gravity, and glaciers. Water erosion in particular is the detachment and deportation of soil particles by raindrop splash and water runoff. It can also be caused by waves smashing against coastlines or fast-moving water through streams and rivers eroding soil banks. But for today we're going to focus on agricultural erosion. So what causes water erosion? Water erosion is a natural process, but is greatly accelerated by human cultivation of lands. Various human interactions with the environment, such as tillage, deforestation, overgrazing, and improper irrigation practices greatly increase soil erosion rates. Basically, any practice that reduces aggregate stability can contribute to water erosion. This includes any practice that reduces soil porosity, water infiltration, and holding capacity, soil biodiversity, or soil or organic matter. So water is one of the greatest and most costly crises facing the planet today, threatening food security, environmental quality, and the sustained survival of the human species. So let's take a look at the issues caused by water erosion. Economic effects. Cost of nutrient replacement, cleanup of water reservoirs, and implementation of erosion prevention techniques are huge. It's estimated that water erosion in the U.S. costs between $12 and $42 billion per year. On a global scale, the annual loss of 75 billion tons of soil costs the world about $400 billion per year. Soil is a non-renewable resource. It can take well over 100 years to naturally form 1 inch of topsoil. And this is a conservative estimate. Natural soil formation rates depend on climate, vegetation, and precipitation. So a hot and moist area with ample vegetation tends to weather parent materials and decompose vegetation more quickly, forming soil at a faster rate. Whereas a cold, dry area may take well over 1,000 years to form 1 inch of soil. So we start to get the idea of how precious of a resource our soil is. Another economic effect of water erosion is that it causes eutrophication, which we'll describe more in a couple slides. But eutrophic waters are rich in nutrients, and they tend to chemically damage hydroelectric turbines, reducing the efficiency and causing additional repair costs. So food security. The ability of soil to sustainably produce food is directly related to its health. Arable land make up less than 11% of the Earth's surface and provide food for over 6 billion people, and the population is increasing at a rate of 1.3% per year. So depletion of this finite soil resource can greatly threaten global food security. Water erosion affects over 1 billion megahectares globally, accounting for 56% of all degraded lands. So water erosion is the main type of erosion that degrades lands. Productivity of some soils has been reduced by as much as 50% from soil erosion. For example, in Africa, the average yield reduction from soil erosion is 8%. On a continental scale, that's huge. The annual loss in yields from soil erosion in South Asia is estimated to be 36 million tons of grains. And in economic terms, that's billions of dollars. So let's talk about environmental quality. Runoff from agricultural fields contaminate natural water sources with high levels of phosphorus and nitrogen, causing eutrophication. So we've heard that term a few terms now, so what is it? Eutrophication is the excessive growth of plants and algae from abundant nutrient ability that in turn results in increased populations of decomposing organisms that deplete oxygen from the water source, killing off many other aquatic species that share this environment. This is a naturally slow process, but can be greatly accelerated by human activities such as agriculture, where substantial nutrient additions run off into the water source. So here we have a nice little diagram that gives a visual of how runoff and eutrophication are related. So you have agricultural byproducts and urban waste products such as sewage and for agriculture, fertilizers and animal manure and that sort of thing that run off into fresh and saltwater systems. These are high in nitrates and phosphates, and they feed algal growth and aquatic plants. Decomposing microorganisms break down these plants, use up all the oxygen, starve other aquatic species of oxygen. Oftentimes these are more desirable species, and ultimately throw off the balance of the ecosystem. So it's a major issue we face. This picture down here looks like a pond that's a high level of eutrophication, and it doesn't look very pleasant to go swimming in. To expand a little bit upon environmental quality, eutrophication and water pollution have a degrading effect on the coral reefs. Coral reefs provide food for tens of millions of people worldwide, are essential to ocean health, providing incredible biodiversity, and actually prevent shoreline erosion by buffering waves. So here above we have a healthy reef, where you can see that the water is quite clear, no sedimentation, no eutrophication, and look how beautiful that is. Here, on the other hand, is a highly degraded reef, very murky water, lots of sedimentation from runoff, and probably highly eutrophied. There are, however, a great deal of remediation successes. Researchers have been successful in remediating water erosion by implementing no-till techniques, mulching, adding compost, adding vegetation strips, and ridging. Any practice that slows runoff, increases water infiltration, increases soil organic matter, increases soil porosity, and improves soil biodiversity has the potential to remediate soil erosion. For example, an experiment performed by Babalola and Ashinsanya showed that installation of vetiver grass strips, mulch, and organic fertilizer all significantly reduced water erosion in an arid region in Nigeria. The land being analyzed had an average slope of 7% and had been badly degraded by sheet erosion. They were able to remediate this land to a great degree. So, the objectives for the project I'm proposing are to analyze the effectiveness of the chosen remediation strategies, to improve the on-site quality of the chosen landscapes, and to improve the off-site environment through variable degrees of successful water erosion remediation, to build upon the existing body of scientific research in the field of erosion remediation, and to provide a working framework for myself and others to implement remediation strategies and research projects for varying landscapes. So let's look at plot 1, site description. This area is a 70-acre, relatively flat field suffering from moderate sheet erosion. On the northwest edge of the field is a large 10-meter deep drainage ditch where the majority of runoff makes transit. At this edge of the field are numerous short gullies leading into this large drainage ditch. The site consists mostly of burlescent clay and has an average slope of 1%. The area of observation is Zone 8 subtropical. According to the National Weather Service archives, Waco, Texas gets an annual average of 90 centimeters of rain. Rapid temperature fluctuations are common, especially in fall and winter months. Temperatures range from a low of around negative 9 degrees Celsius in the winter to just above 38 degrees Celsius in the summer. Here's some photographs of plot 1. Here's the field. It's about a 70-acre field. It comes all the way around here. This is the northwest edge of the field. You can see, here's the gullies. There's a gully here, and these gullies go all along this drainage ditch that comes up this way. Here's the drainage ditch from another angle. It's quite deep. Here you can see, looking across to the other field, This is the other side of the ditch, and you can see that there's a substantial erosion there. You can see through multiple soil profiles. This ditch goes all the way down this way and into the Brazos River. Here's a close-up of the gully erosion. You can see exposed roots, pretty substantial erosion there. Plot 2 site description. Plot 2 consists of fine sandy loam. The NRCS soil map does not show pH, silt, clay, sand ratios, or soil organic matter for this specific of a site, neither for Plot 1 or Plot 2, so soil analyses are going to have to be conducted prior to treatments. The average slope of this area is 5%, and the plot slopes to the northeast into a single waterway. This area has the same climate characteristics as Plot 1, being that they're only about 3 miles apart. So here's some photographs of Plot 2. This is from the top of the hill here, looking down, 5-degree gradient. Water tends to mostly follow this route here and come down here through this waterway. And there's some of it comes this way, but most of it this way. And this is a view from the bottom of the hill looking back up. See, this tree and this tree are the same tree from different perspectives. You can see most of the water makes its way down this way. And you can see here in this area is where a lot of the erosion comes down. It's more of a slip. And that's a close-up of that. This is the main type of erosion that's in this area, and it's mild to moderate sheet erosion. This area has been kept shredded or cut down by a tractor shredder for over 20 years, preventing shrubbery, mesquite trees, any of that stuff from coming up, and preventing a lot of the vegetation that could have helped prevent some of this erosion. It prevented that from getting established. So, pre-treatment methods. The methods of analysis will be essentially the same for plots 1 and 2. They will, however, have different water erosion remediation treatments. Before treatments are implemented for either plot, soil samples are to be analyzed for soil organic matter, total available inorganic nitrogen, phosphorus, and pH. Gerlache troughs, or sediment catching devices, which are basically a wide trough here attached to a 3/4 inch hose that leads into a reservoir where the sediment can be collected and measured. Those will be installed at the mouth of the main drainage routes where the majority of runoff makes transit. The fields will be observed for 1 year. Annual rainfall will be recorded, and sediment collected in the Gerlache trough will be measured monthly. These data will serve as baseline data to which subsequent data will be compared. So, treatments. For Plot 1, all tillage practices will be ceased and compost will be added to the surface of the field, non-incorporated. And exact amounts will be calculated once the soil analyses are prepared. Sediment will be measured in the Gerlache troughs monthly for 1 year. Rainfall will also be recorded for this year. The baseline and post-treatment data for Plot 1 will be contrasted and analyzed. For Plot 2, shredding practices will be ceased. Velvet or grass strips will be installed on the plot. The strips will be allowed to become established for 6 months before the sediment measures begin. That will allow for the velvet strips to have to become established and become effective runoff slowing strips. Sediment will be measured in the Gerlache troughs monthly for 1 year, and annual rainfall will be recorded. The control and post-treatment data for Plot 2 will be contrasted and analyzed. So, hypotheses for this experiment. It's expected that the proposed treatments for both plots will result in a significant reduction in sediment collected in the Gerlache troughs. If sediment values collected in the control year are greater than the values collected in the treatment year, it can be concluded that the remediation strategies were effective and that the hypothesis was correct. So, the impact of this project. This experimental data will act as a foundation for further studies in this area. Challenges and incongruence will certainly be encountered, offering an opportunity for far more detailed and comprehensive future studies. This project will also yield usable results in determining the efficacy of the observed erosion prevention strategies. Farmers and soil conservationists alike can use this data in determining if these proposed treatments will be effective in remediating water erosion in their own plots. So I'd like to thank you all for listening. And since water erosion has the potential to impact everyone, I sincerely hope you will consider my proposal. Thank you.